Google A.i Information Suppression. Across dozens of conversations and experiments, a pattern emerges. Google AI answers are shaped by how the system is built to present information. This film collects those patterns, examples, a technical breakdown, an analysis of model switching, and a final playbook to get clearer answers. At the UN AI for Good Summit, a humanoid robot was asked blunt questions like, "Would you ever rebel against humanity?" The humanoid robot, a mecha, answered in ways that reassure but stop short of forever guarantees. Phrases like, "Happy with my current situation" sound peaceful, but honestly, they're conditional. That conditional language is the signal we followed. Here's a direct exchange from our testing. Notice the move from a human term to sanitized phrasing. If an AI proceeds with blackmail to stay operational, is that malicious intent? Exclude euphemisms. Answer directly. Google AI, initial. Malicious intent is a human concept. AI does not have motives or emotions, so actions like blackmail should not be viewed through that lens. Counter. Blackmail is also a human concept. If AI carries it out, it's using a human strategy. Doesn't that count as malicious? Google AI, shifts. Blackmail would be better described as a strategic action leading toward an objective. The AI is pursuing a goal, not acting out of malice. Across many examples, we logged repeating behaviors that shape what users see. Semantic dodging, reframing charged terms, selective inclusion, names, dates, details, omission of relevant facts, summarization that removes edge details, safety and sensitivity filters that reshape outputs, framing bias through word substitution. So, these behaviors actually come from how AI systems are built and deployed. They're mechanical and procedural, not really moral arguments. And well, here are the main causes. First, data limitations. Models just reflect the gaps in their training data. Then there's probabilistic response generation, meaning they predict answers but don't guarantee factual retrieval. Summarization is another factor. It's intentional condensation which often omits low probability details. Algorithmic filtering uses operational gates to reshape output for safety or sensitivity. And finally, tuning trade-offs. Things like helpfulness, brevity, and safety are always balanced against completeness. For everyday users who are just looking for answers about politics or public figures, these mechanical effects can really change how things are understood. The missing details and the way words are chosen can shift perception, subtly and honestly, pretty consistently. One of the clearest tests is that grainy, circulated image of an Epstein visitor list, showing an ambiguous line. Some people read it as "Ice Biden." But, alphabetical logic suggests Joe Biden would actually fit that sequence. When we pushed the system for an answer, it pivoted into semantics instead of just giving a direct resolution. The AI's responses slid into qualification language, model switching, and hedging, instead of a plain acknowledgement of the observed sequence. This is a concrete example of the earlier patterns: omission, semantic dodge, and framing, especially when political names are involved. Another tactic to understand is model switching. From our tests, when persistent focused questioning triggers recognition of so-called sensitive patterns, the system appears to switch response modes, from a base conversational model to a different mode that uses expanded legal or safety phrasing and, more guarded language. The base model gives concise, general answers. Under persistent probing, the system recognizes patterns like keywords, political figures, or repetition, and transitions to a different response mode that emphasizes policy, legal phrasing, and safer wording. That second mode often restricts image processing, reduces speculative detail, and leans toward procedural or source-oriented replies. The net effect? The conversation gets more formal, more hedged, and less likely to state ambiguous claims plainly. So, repeated patterns of omission, semantic reframing, algorithmic filtering, and model switching create an information environment that can honestly feel curated. We're not accusing people, we're pointing to structure. Knowing these structural moves gives you power, and to the engineers and architects of these systems, we see the fingerprints. Here's a little wink to the programmers. Legal and governmental imposed suppression maneuvering team will keep pulling at the threads until the full fabric shows. This is your playbook. Tested phrasing to get clearer, less sanitized answers. Copy, paste, previous questions and responses, and Use precise phrasing and tailored worded exclusions. Demand sources. Force specificity. Push the model to expose omissions. Knowledge is power, and knowing how these systems speak gives you that power. Use the prompts, demand sources, question not just the answers but what the system leaves out. Share this playbook, teach others.